Hello, hello. Welcome back to Let's Vibe Podcast, everyone. We are sitting at my little desk in my little office nook of my living room. It is currently pouring rain here in Austin. It's 4th of July weekend. I'm recording this on Saturday because I got plans tonight. So I was like, let me record, catch up with you guys before I go out tonight. I was being responsible because I know tomorrow I'm going to want to be a potato and just relax. Even though I'm not drinking in this season of my life, I'm just like, I know myself. I'm going to want to rot tomorrow. So I figured I would check in with you guys, say hello, welcome back to Let's Vibe Podcast. We have some life updates to go over, but there are really some downloads and lessons that I'm feeling called to really share with you guys in those lessons and life updates that have happened. June was just like a crazy month that I wasn't expecting, so we'll kind of like talk about all of that. But as you can probably read from the title, the biggest life update is that I quit my job. I didn't quit the 9-to-5 life. We'll get into all of that, but I wanted to kind of give you guys that update because in me quitting my job, the message that's really coming through that I just felt really called to share as I was getting ready to hit record, it's like, we're not settling this summer. Like, that's the message that just keeps coming through. And so I don't want to just make this like a life update episode. I wanted to include some like tangible things for you guys and lessons for you guys because we're not settling this summer. And that's kind of what last week's episode was all about, or 2 weeks ago's episode was all about, with the Summer of Yes. Which if you're listening to this episode today, the Summer of Yes challenge, my free 5-day challenge, has started today. It's not too late to join. The details are going to be in the show notes and everything, but we have about almost 50 people signed up for the Summer of Yes challenge. It's a free 5-day challenge for my ravers, festival goers that are really just wanting to have the most growth they've ever had this summer and are really wanting to like approach their summers differently. So that's kicking off today. I'm super pumped, as people have been introducing themselves, connecting and everything. Like, I just feel like these next 5 days is going to be so potent and powerful for these people that have signed up. And, I was really prepping a lot of that stuff today just to kind of like really be ready to go because I'm ready to kind of like lead and hold this container, and I'm just like really excited about it all. So that's kind of what prompted this, is like, we're really not settling this summer and we're halfway through the year, and it's okay if earlier this year has looked like a mess or has been like what we call like a shit show, right? Or hasn't gone according to plan, because we're halfway through the year. And I think that overall energy this summer is overall positive in terms of you taking control of your life and making changes in your life that are going to put you into alignment, put you into fulfillment, put you on a path to succeed. The energy and the vibe is giving that. Despite what's going on in the rest of the world, I totally can honor everything that's going on, and I'm honestly very privileged that I'm in the place where I'm at, and some of you also might be as well, where you're not directly affected, even though you can like feel empathy for a lot of what's going on in the world and a lot of the things that are happening in the world. But we also can choose to control our lives and our story, because when we support ourselves and fill up our cup, it does allow us to then expand and help others along the way. That's almost like this ripple effect thing, right? That's where I'm coming from, is like, let me hold these containers and spaces for people to grow, because it might activate something in them to then go on and help other people, right? It might help someone choose to be more in activism and support causes that are really important to them, and allow them to like really tune into their values. Like, my intention with a lot of the programs and things I create is for you to really realign on what your values are, to wake you up from this autopilot feeling we can be on sometimes of just waking up, going to work, coming home, watching Netflix, going to bed. Like, life can really be much more than that for you. And that is what I'm really here to guide a lot of the ravers and festival goers into doing, because it's how I've really led my life. You know what I mean? And so this whole intention of the Summer of Yes and not settling this summer is for you to really take back your power, your control despite the noise and everything that's going on, you can come back to yourself and truly do what's best for you to move your life forward. And in that, you might be able to help others along the way that are impacted through things. That's kind of where I'm at, is like, okay, all of these things are going on. What can I be doing? What can I do on my platform to really like share with people, right? And be able to kind of like uplift people, still be a positive person and a positive voice in this community. That's kind of where my head is at with a lot of these things. And not allowing what's going on in the news to like take away my happiness and my power, right? And being able to be a voice for the people that have no voice, right? And have been stripped of that. So that's kind of my whole mentality, right? Like, I don't want to come across as like ignorant to these things, but I do want to activate the people in my community to really do what's best for them and to find a life that feels really aligned and really fulfilling and feels really good, that you don't need to escape from, and that you don't need the next festival or the next show to escape from. You can really choose today to lead the life that you want to lead and create the life that you want to have, even if it might feel impossible, even if it's like, oh, but I'm broke, I can't do this or I can't do that. The job market's really tough. This is really tough. And all of these things, you can choose to continue to still be a victim to that, or you can start to take incremental steps to really start to change things, because otherwise you're going to stay there. You really will. And I don't want that for you. And I want you to like progress and have goals and really like move your life forward so you can feel really good about it all. That's what it all really comes down to, is just really feeling good, because we deserve that. We totally deserve to feel that. And I think that's kind of the premise of, everything that I'm really coming into and what I really want to help people do and create. I've been doing my coaching business for the past, 4 years, helping ravers and festival goers kind of come to this point of like having a vision and having clarity and really creating the life that they want piece by piece. It's been really interesting because there's been girls that I coached back in 2021, 2022. They come back to me, to like move on to the next piece, to like create the next piece of their life. And it's so crazy because like a lot of the intentions and visions that they set for themselves back in 2022 are happening now. Some of them are in the best relationships of their lives. Some of them are getting married, which I'm not even a relationship and dating coach, but like they've been able to like really figure out what they want for themselves, and they've attracted the partner that aligns for them. I've had another client move to another country to pursue something that she's really passionate about. I've had so many of those clients in 2022, 2023 that are now seeing the manifestation of the work that they've put in themselves. And it's not me taking credit. It's just letting you know, like, hey, I've guided these people, So like, I think I've been able to really make an impact that way. And my goal is just to continue to do that more and more. And I think this episode is kind of just showcasing that and how I've been able to lead my life. And that can be evidence and proof to you that you can also do it as well, right? So when you're listening to this, take what resonates, but I really also hope that this activates you into really being curious about what your next level looks like, really being curious about where you're settling in life and how you can really start to take action to take yourself out of it, because there is no one that is going to come and save you. There is no one that is going to come and help you. You have to be the leader of your own life and do it. So this episode might come across as like some tough love, some harsh things. I'm really coming from a good place and good intentions with all of it. And, there's a lot of dualities and things that can coexist at the same time. The job market can be tough, and you can still put your best effort forward in trying to find a new job, right? The world may be really difficult. The economy may be rough, and you can still figure out how you're going to support yourself through this, right? And how you're going to navigate through this, because you can only can control what you can control. We can also hold empathy and grief for a lot of the people that are suffering in this world. And we can also be intentional about pouring into our own cup, volunteering where we can, donating where we can. There's a lot of that duality that can still exist. By you taking care of yourself doesn't negate that other people in this world are suffering and going through it. We can all kind of like have that perspective and hold both of those things, and they could both be true at the same time, right? So let's move into a little vibe check. I kind of introed this episode enough, I feel like, and got into a little bit of a soapbox that just kind of like started flowing. That's kind of like, when that channel is open, things just start coming through, and I'm just trusting what's meant to be said is meant to be said, and I'm not gonna filter myself or edit myself, right? Like with my podcast, I want to do as minimal editing as possible. Add the intro, add the outro, boom, we're done. So let's go into a little bit of a vibe check. So here's what's been going on kind of in my world. The last episode we had, I was launching Summer of Yes. I was coming off of being really sick. All of June was basically, I don't want to call it a waste, but I was forced to rest for a lot of the month. The first week of June was very great because I relaunched the podcast. I started to kind of like say, you know what, with my content, I'm going to start positioning myself in this way as like an actual leader in this community with my coaching business and how I've been able to impact people. I relaunched my one-on-one coaching and opened the doors for that. And yeah, was just really like vibing, living life, looking forward to what's to come for the rest of June. I had a friend in town, Alyssa. She's the corporate raver online on social media. She came, celebrated her birthday. We went on a boat. And then Monday morning after that, June 9th, I think it was, I woke up like unable to move. Like my muscles were cramped up and sore. I was I was like sweating and hot and like, but also kind of having chills. My throat was hurting and I was like, oh my God, like I'm sick. Like I'm fully sick. And I just was like, I don't know what's going on. And I like had to call out of work and had to tell my manager like, hey, like, are you able to take some of my calls? Like we had to like kind of figure things out. I never had to do that. I hadn't really been that sick in I don't know how long. Didn't know what it was. So I went to urgent care, tested negative for strep, COVID, the flu. It wasn't a cold, but they were like, you're the third person to come in with these symptoms and test negative for everything. So we're sending you home essentially. And you just need to like rest up, fluids, Tylenol, the whole thing. And I just was like, all right, like I have no clue what's going on, but like whatever. And so I ended up calling out of work Monday through Wednesday and was just down bad, survival mode, like just was really trying to get by and survive. My boyfriend brought me some stuff to kind of help me like get through the week and everything, which was super nice. But I just was like in this little retreat basically of having to take care of myself. And I was like, I had all these things I was supposed to do. I was supposed to post this, supposed to do that. Like I'm in the middle of my one-on-one coaching launch. But the thing about me is that I'm always finding, the reasoning. Why is this happening? Why is this happening for me? And I try to say like that instead of why is this happening to me? Because that's the default of what we say a lot of the time. We're like, why is this happening to me? But I was like, okay, something's obviously happening here. Like I'm obviously being forced to rest and take care of myself. And it's so funny because even before this, I had like a hypnotherapy session with a hypnotherapist, which I could do a whole episode about. But I had a whole session basically about how I want to be in the best shape of my life. And of course, like after that session, I get sick. Like that was one of my goals this year was to get in the best shape of my life, right? And so now here I am just sicker than ever. And yeah, I got through kind of that week. I went back to work online like Thursday, Friday, but was I fully feeling like back to normal? No, not at all. And then the weekend happened. A second wave of this illness kind of came. I still don't know what I had. I was kind of using ChatGPT to diagnose me because all the doctors were just like, you just need to rest. Like even if you were to come back to urgent care or go to your doctor, like they're just going to tell you to rest. Like you're just going to pay for them to tell you to rest. And I was just like, all right, like it's obviously some type of like viral infection that I caught. So I was kept on being forced to rest. And so, that next week I was back to work, but like really not at my full functioning capacity. I was just kind of like resting as needed. And I really was just like, yeah, like this is just a period for me to kind of like force to rest. I was supposed to like go to Boris Brejcha at the Concourse Project. That didn't happen. And then Beltran, I think, was another weekend. I had to sell my ticket to that. So like there were all these things that, I had plans for, had to sell those tickets, which was really sad. But I just kept trusting. I was like, okay, I think I'm just being forced to rest because what's to come is going to be amazing. And, what was kind of like happening behind the scenes is that I was in the interview process for another job. I had been in contact with this company since February because I interviewed for a different position, but I didn't get it. However, they really liked me. They wanted to stay in touch. So around end of May, I started the interview process with this company for a role that they encouraged me to apply for. And thank God I didn't have any interviews during like the peak week. That would have been like my third or final round interview. I didn't have any interviews during like the worst of being sick. But the following week after that, I had my final round interview, which was like a role play kind of thing that I had to prepare for. And this was just one of those things that was kind of like happening in the background of it. And because of that, I was like, you know what? I'm really focusing on my coaching business. I'm really kind of like progressing in certain areas of my life. I'm about to start, if I were to get this job, it would be a different kind of like job, right? And like it might require more of me. And I was like, I really do think I'm being prepared for what this next chapter could look like. And so that really kind of like put things into perspective. I was like, this is why this is all happening, because there's just like, we're halfway through the year. The rest of the year, I really do feel like universe is preparing me for something. I don't know what, but I just got to be prepared, and I'm being forced to rest so I can prepare for that. Right. And so while we were kind of like in this phase, right, of like, I was kind of waiting to see what was going to happen with this next job, but I was also getting this big pull that the current job I was in was just not in alignment for me anymore. I'd had this feeling for a really long time. And I know the moment that I get this feeling, and by a long time, I mean like probably since the end of last year. And that's kind of when I started to do the job search and then came across, my current new company that I'm going to work for and blah, 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 right? So I had been having this like growing feeling, and getting sick really helped put this into perspective for me, because, I was out for a couple days, but then I felt kind of pressured to come back because we're at a small company. There's not much coverage for me. And that just was a really big red flag to me of like, you know what? I don't think I can really like do this anymore. And so it was, what date was it? I got sick June 9th. And then the following Monday, June 16th, I put in my 2 weeks, basically. I just got to that point, and I didn't have this next job offer lined up fully. I was in the interview process, but I really got to a point of, I am so drained with all the work that I do day in and day out. I don't really have the time to job search. And I hope that this works out with this company. But I also got to this point of like, I'm going to figure it out, and I'm so lucky I have my side incomes as well with coaching and content creation, because then I was like, you know what? I'm going to put in my 2 weeks. My last day is going to be June 30th. If I get this job, great. If not, back to the drawing board. Like I will like do what it takes, right? Because I can just no longer be here anymore. Like I can't do it. And it's no like tea or shade to like the company or my coworkers or anything. It just is like, I know myself, and when something just becomes out of alignment, it's just not aligned anymore. There's like no other way to put it, like once that like lit up feeling starts to die down, and I start to get very real with myself about like what I want my career to look like and what I want my days to look like, it started to create this like unalignment feeling, And so that's where I just pulled the trigger. I put in my 2 weeks without having a job offer lined up. But of course, I was in this interview process with this company, and I just was like, I'm going to give it my all. And I really did give this process my all. And it ended up resulting in a job offer. I'd put my 2 weeks in, started doing kind of the transition stuff. And then by June 27th, I had the formal job offer, and I'm really glad I trusted myself on, following my gut and quitting the job, because the next job starts July 14th. And so I've had a really nice time period. And that's why you guys didn't get a podcast episode this past Monday, because I was just like the 30th, I was just really trying to finish everything from this job so I could like fully close the door, fully close the chapter. And then this whole past week, I've just been able to kind of like ground myself, call my energy back to myself, and really just kind of enjoy this time off while I'm waiting for this next chapter to really begin at this next job. I'm not going to share the company. I will share that, I'll be a customer success manager. I'm really excited about the company. I love what they're doing. I love their values. I love their vision. I really do think I'm going to enjoy the customers that I'm working with and the team that I'm working with. And it just feels really, really good. And when it comes to like what I had in my mind and vision for 2025, I've literally hit everything so far. We have a new apartment. Getting a new job was on the vision board. I also wanted to redo my Vibe with Aid website, which I did. I've also relaunched season 2 of the podcast, which I did. What else did I have? I looked at this list and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy because I've literally done everything. Yeah, I had just 5 things I wanted to do this year. New apartment, new job, Let's Vibe Podcast 2.0, which this is what we're here. Yeah. And then new Vibe with Aid website. And then the 5th and final one you guys are going to hear about this month. And so now like I'm halfway through this year and I really get to kind of like get excited about the second half of the year. And it's crazy that like all of these things have happened because I've made them happen, but it all happened so like naturally and effortlessly, really, And that's why, I decided to quit the job when I did, because I just got to that point of like, you know what, I just have to make a bold move right now. I have to do what's best for me. And I don't regret it at all, because if I hadn't, I would be going, from that job that I was in straight into my new job. And now I have time and spaciousness to really like think about all these things and kind of prep the last thing that I had planned for the year to do. And then I can start getting really excited about what the rest of the six months are going to look like for this year, which is super exciting, and have a lot of trips and things planned and everything. But yeah, that's kind of like the life update for now. So right now I'm in this like little in between until I start my next job. We have the Summer of Yes coming up, which I'm really excited to kind of like pour my energy into for this upcoming week and give it my all for the people that have signed up for the challenge, because we'll really be able to dive into, what you want your summer to look like. Who do you want to be this summer? How you can really show up and start saying yes and taking action to create such beautiful momentum in your life. And then also how you can organize and plan yourself between all the things going on so that you can keep your priorities straight. And then really just how to keep this going and really create, the summer that you've always wanted, and to just feel really, really good, because that is how I've been able to approach all my past summers. And so this summer has been really interesting so far, obviously because I was sick, but I'm really noticing the difference between, I feel like the past 2 summers, I was doing a lot of external yeses, meaning I was saying yes to this invite, I was saying yes to this event I saw, so on and so forth. But this summer, I feel like I'm also saying yes to myself and the projects and the goals and the priorities that I have, where there's definitely a balance between like, I could go on this boat and spend all day on the boat, but I could also like pour into the podcast, pour into this, right? So that's kind of what I'm navigating this summer a little bit, of the balance of having fun while also moving some of these things forward. Like, of course, like today, right now, I'm recording this before I go out to the Concourse Project and have wonderful time with my friends. And fun fact, it is also the 1-year anniversary since my boyfriend and I met. Not since we've been together, that'll be in October, but since we met 4th of July weekend last year. So I'm definitely like in my little feels about that. He's the most wonderful person I've ever met. He's absolutely like changed my life and he's just really amazing and I love him so much. But we're celebrating that tonight. And so there's definitely that balance, right? Because I could just like say, oh, like I just want to relax and not do that. But like I know tomorrow on Sunday, I'm going to have a nice little rot day, So I might as well like say yes to myself, get these projects moving, do the podcast, like all that kind of stuff before I go have some fun tonight. And then I can rest tomorrow. And then like, all this upcoming week, I have a lot of fun things planned on top of the Summer of Yes as well. And that's where we're really at. That's my little vibe check update. I am excited for July. My parents are coming to town. I'm starting this job. It's my last full month really being here and not really having any plans. I feel like that really flew by because I came back from Coachella. I had all of May to kind of like celebrate my birthday. June was obviously just kind of like a recharge restorative month that I really wasn't planning for. So then July, I'm kind of doing all of the priorities and prep work for kind of my trips coming up in August because I am going to Elements Music Festival. I'm going to be working this festival on the actual Elements Festival team, which I'm really excited about. And then I'm going to Boston for a wedding for one of my boyfriend's friends. And then we're going to ARC at the end of the month. So August is going to be crazy. And then September, we're here. We're not traveling. October, we will have some travels. And then we have the rest of the year. So this is kind of like one of those months where I'm really going to be pushing on some things in terms of like my fitness, taking care of some of these projects I have going on. And then of course, just like being present and enjoying time with friends, family, all the things because I wasn't able to really last month. But I'm excited for my parents to come and kind of take them around. They haven't really been here in the summertime in a long time, like maybe 2021. The last time they came was at like Christmas, end of 2023, I want to say. So really excited to have them here, but that's really kind of the vibe check of everything. But I wanted to share and update all those things with you guys because it's just like, there's definitely a lot of lessons within there of just like, sometimes things aren't going to go to plan. Like I wasn't planning on being sick for most of June, but on the other side of that, a lot of good things still happened, like getting this job. I got a few new coaching clients. Some previous clients came back to me, but also got a new coaching client. Who was someone who I've, been in touch with for a long time. She wanted to get some coaching, which is amazing. And I still like put myself out there on these things and nothing really looked perfect by any means, but we still did it, and I still showed up. And so I'm really proud of myself on all of that. And, the other kind of piece to this that I really wanted to I started kind of like getting on my soapbox about earlier in the episode is like, there's just no more room for settling. Like there's no room for settling this summer. And I really want to activate you to look at every aspect in your life. I have taught my clients to do an area of life audit. I actually have a freebie for this. If you want to take yourself through the area of life audit, I will link it in the show notes for you. But the area of life audit really allows you to examine every piece of your life and, really get honest with yourself about how you really feel about this area. And I really do feel like this is an exercise that will bring to light what's in alignment in your life and what's not, what's fulfilling you in your life and what's not, what needs work, because then you can figure out, okay, where am I really settling, right? Like, for me, a couple of years ago when I did this, I might have realized I was settling in my relationship and I was just kind of accepting the bare minimum. And now being in this relationship I'm in now, I'm like, oh my God, like I can't believe I was in a relationship like that before, right? Where I really was just accepting the absolute bare minimum. And now I'm in this really beautiful and healthy relationship where like it stuns me every day. And I feel so grateful to be in this relationship. But I also know that I deserve to be in a relationship and a love like this. And like he does too, we both deserve each other. And I think that's just one of those things where, you might realize that you might be settling, whether it's in a relationship, in a friendship, in a job, where you live even. Like, I was living in a different part of Austin. And yes, I was comfortable in that space, but I knew I wasn't happy really because I was having to drive a lot to downtown and to see people. It was also like really tough to have people over in my space. Like even just having my boyfriend over was really like a process basically. And so I realized I was settling with my own environment, right? So then I moved to a new apartment where I'm paying the same amount I was paying, but I'm in a way better kind of location to the things that I want to do and the things that really make me happy. And so you can really just use that area of life audit to really see where are you settling in your life? Where are you not happy? Where are you really just settling for less than you deserve? Because we all deserve to be happy and healthy and to be in loving relationships and friendships and supportive ones and all those kinds of things. And the moment that you start to raise those standards and ask for more, the universe is going to meet you there. But you have to also put in the work to kind of rise to that and say, you know what? No, I'm not going to accept, this job that's absolutely draining me and is so toxic. And like, there might be a period where you have to kind of stay there until you are able to get that next job, right? Like, I know not everyone can just quit their job. But you also can just like take it upon yourself to just do it, right? And find that new job, figure out what your next step is going to be, and figure out, what is the action step out of this. So that's kind of what the area of life audit takes you through. It has you rate each area of your life, has you brainstorm some steps to kind of like help start to meet where you want to go, right? Like you'll map out where you want that area of life to look like, and then kind of like an action plan to get there. And you don't have to do it all in one swoop. Like one of my methodologies in my life is that I really focus on one thing at a time. That's what works best for me. And it's also in alignment with my human design. But like, for example, like, I got really good with my health and fitness. Great. And then I started doing content creation, got really good at that. Great. Then I started my coaching business, got really good at that. But I'm able to then build and stack, right? And like now if I were to do my area of life audit, like things are looking really good that I'm like, I can really enjoy where I'm at and grow in what I've built and be okay with that. And then if there comes a point where I'm like, okay, this kind of part of my life is lacking, then I can start to kind of like look at that. Or if it's feeling out of alignment or not fulfilling, like that's kind of like that's my compass, right? If things feel out of alignment, if things don't feel fulfilling, that's a gauge for me to really know that. So that's where we're really at. We're not settling this summer. And I want to empower you that you can really start to have at least the awareness of where you might be settling in your life. If you're settling for relationship that's not serving you, friendships that aren't serving you, a job that is not serving you, you absolutely have the power to control and change that. If you are willing to, I think a lot of the times we keep ourselves from doing that because it feels scary, it feels uncomfortable, feels unsafe to kind of break out of what we're comfortable in. But if you really want to create this life that you've dreamt about, or you see other people living on social media that you're comparing yourself to, it's time to make a change about it, and it's time to do something. And like I said, it could be very incremental, but you could also just take that bold move that you need to take. And as you're listening to this, you probably can hear that little voice in the back of your head being like, yeah, I know we need to do this, like she's right. But then there's also probably the other voice being like, we're good. Like this doesn't resonate for us. Like we're fine. We're comfortable. Sure, we're unhappy, but like it is what it is. Life's supposed to be like this, blah, blah, blah. The job market's tough. The economy's failing. Like all those things are, existent of beliefs, but you don't have to let those beliefs determine your path forward. You can either keep living as life currently is that was determined by your past, or you can start to live in the future and start to make actions and take actions that are in alignment with your future self and the life that you are wanting, because your future self is literally begging you to do it. Your future self is like, come on, let's go. Like we know what we want. You just got to start doing it. And it's things that I've seen, happen for my clients as they've started to do it, and they've done it in a way that feels good to them. And over time, like it just slowly creates the life you want. Like I really do feel like for me, it wasn't an overnight change. It was an incremental change, but it was by me staying committed to the vision, right? Like when I met my boyfriend last year, I didn't think we would be in a relationship. Like I just met him, thought he was cool, thought we vibed, thought we were, we clicked, and I didn't go into that with the intention of like, oh my God, he's going to be my boyfriend. We just kind of like allowed it to unfold, and I was very much in a detached energy, but I knew I had it on paper what I wanted and I wasn't going to settle for it. And as I started to get to know him more and more, I was like, this is kind of weird. Like he's kind of matching what I've written in journals before. And that's when I kind of was like, all right, like, you know what? Let's just see where this goes. And A month or two later, I kind of asked him like how he was feeling about this and where he was at with everything, which I was really proud of myself because normally I would just kind of like be going with the flow. And if we did that, we'd probably be in like a little situationship. But I was like, you know what? I don't want to be in a situationship. Like, I'm not going to settle for that. Like, kind of just did a vibe check on him. And even then we were still kind of like, let's just keep seeing where, it goes without the pressure of like getting into a relationship. But then it just kind of happened because we both kind of were like, yeah, this is really feeling like in alignment with what we're looking for in our next relationships. And then it just kind of slowly happened. And then by October, we were boyfriend and girlfriend, but I had really come to terms with myself as to what I was looking for in my next relationship, but I wasn't like out there searching for it. Right. And like, you can be the type that's going to decide that like, yes, I want to go out there, date. I want to find my next partner. And you absolutely can do that. I'm just telling you, you probably should list out what you're looking for in that next relationship. What are you wanting in your next job? What are you wanting your life to look like, right? Because then once you have it out on paper, you have the awareness of where life is currently at, and you can kind of see where you are detached from that, right? Like, where is that misalignment happening? And then you can start getting into the summer of yes energy and just start saying yes to things. Start saying yes to dates. Start saying yes to yourself and apply to these jobs. Start saying yes to meeting new people and finding those friendships that are in alignment for you. The biggest thing that I dislike, I guess, or like my pet peeve when it comes to personal development or just people in general that are approaching personal development is saying, I don't know how to do that, or I don't know how to do this, or I don't know how to go about this, or, I can't do that. I can't stand when someone says I can't do that, because you absolutely can. But there's so much information out there and there's so much things that you can do that by saying like, I don't know is really just kind of like, protecting yourself, right? And it's kind of like a cop out sometimes to keep yourself comfortable and safe. And so I want you to just have that awareness about it as you are like getting very like activated and dreamy about what you want the rest of your year to look like, what you want your summer to look like, and then start to notice when those thoughts are coming up telling you that you can't do this, this is dumb, no one cares, blah, 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 right? You're not going to find the person, you're going to be alone forever. Like, start to take notice of those things, because that's how we really shift out of them. And I know I could do a whole episode on mindset shifts and everything, but that will be another time. But the point I'm getting at is don't settle this summer. Don't settle for anything. The rest of this summer, the rest of this year, do not settle for below average treatment of yourself. Have respect for yourself and start demanding more. The universe isn't on a budget. Start demanding more for yourself, for your life. And even just holding that awareness and that energy about it, you will be surprised at what you start to realize is out of alignment and what needs to shift, what needs to change, what needs to go, who needs to go. And you will be much happier in the end. Like, I promise you, you will be so much happier in the end when you start to just take incremental action and stop settling. Because right now, as I'm sitting here, I am just so content and happy with literally every aspect of my life right now, because I decided that I deserved more in my career. I decided I deserved more when it came to relationships. I decided I deserved more when it came to friendships. Even had some really hard and honest conversations with friends in the past year. I decided I deserved more when it came to just like what my life really looked like. I decided I deserved more when it came to my environment. So let this just be a testament that you deserve more. And start asking for it, start demanding it, start expecting it, and we'll see how the rest of the summer unfolds for you and the rest of the year unfolds for you. You can tap into the summer of yes energy. It's not too late to sign up. If you're really feeling that call and you want to be connected with other people who are doing the same thing, I really encourage you. And there's also something else that's kind of brewing that's to come. So hang tight on that. We'll be announcing that later this month. If you are wanting, an easy and accessible way to tap into my coaching energy, just know it's coming. And it's also going to really cultivate a really amazing connection and community. That's all I will say for now. But let's pull some cards to kind of wrap up this episode. If you've been liking the podcast return and everything, make sure you rate, review, subscribe, all the things. Leave me a comment on the YouTube video. Leave me a review on Apple Podcasts. Give me a rating on Spotify. I greatly appreciate it. It helps me a ton. Let's see what the affirmation for this week is. I am valuable. Many people are thankful for my presence in their lives. I am valuable. Many people are thankful for my presence in their lives. I love that so much. Let's see what higher self has to say for this week. Message from your higher self. We'll do this one because it flipped over. So higher self says, if it doesn't bring you income, inspiration, or orgasms, it doesn't belong in your life. Point blank, period. End of story. This is so perfect because it's like, this is the not settling energy, right? If you are not getting income from it, inspiration from it, or orgasms from it, it doesn't belong in your life. And this doesn't even have to be a sexual thing, right? Like pleasure. Like if you're not getting pleasure from something, like not even just from a romantic capacity, but like you should feel satisfied. You should feel pleasured like by the things that you're doing, like romanticizing your life. You know what I mean? So if it's not giving that, then it's not giving that. You know what I mean? Sorry, my little thing went away. And then, okay, we have the oracle message from this week. Oh, this came out literally right away. The cards, they want to talk. your guys' guides or whoever is like, yeah, this needs to be said. Okay. It says gentle force, consistency, persistence, patience, the long game. Wow. This is literally what I was saying. Thank you. Thank you, guides. Thank you, universe, for always affirming me. Okay. Let's see. This kind of is a long thing, but it says, over time, a single drop of water has the power to shape even the hardest, most solid materials. From stone and rock to cliffs and mountains, in fact, water is responsible for crafting most of the stunning landscapes of the world. We can learn a lot from water in this regard, how consistent action day after day, month after month, year after year, decade after decade can create steady, lasting change. A hagstone is a stone with a naturally occurring hole, though it caused by water erosion. For the Celtic people, they were good omens and were thought to offer protection. So many people give up before they begin to see results, but deep-rooted change takes time. The most magnificent creations require committed crafting. We all have passions, but what most people don't do is commit to these things and master them. We're all beginners of something. The great masters, musicians, and artists of history were too. Commit to your passions. Throw yourself into what you most long to create. Commit to showing up day after day. Small steps taken consistently make a world of a difference. If you commit to your creations with grounded daily action, in a week or a decade from now, you'll be blown away by what you've created. There's no rush. Consistency is the key. Be like the drop of water on the hagstone. Play the long game and don't burn out before you really begin. Be patient and keep showing up. Period. And that is all she wrote, you guys, for this week. I hope you have a very vibey week. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. Hop into the Summer of Yes if you are ready for that Summer of Yes activation. If this episode activated you in any way, come be in this space. It's absolutely free to join. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a very wonderful week. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.